Welcome to the Tonya Hofmann's fabulous TV show. I am your host, Tonya Hofmann, and I am so excited today because we, of course, have a fabulous guest star, Miss Rosemarie Barnes. Hey, Rosemarie.
Hi, everybody. So glad to be here. Hi, Tonya.
She is going to blow you away. Oh my gosh. She just did a whole tip series for PSA. And I was just like, oh, it was amazing. So we're going to get to her in just a second. But before we do, I wanted to remind you that we would love to help you also go out there and change lives from the front of the room. Right? It's really about that amazing experience to get your message heard. So go to Speakers with an S Association, all spelled out.com. And then at the bottom, there's a little calendar. You can click on there and pick a day that works for you, and we can have a chat about how to help you get your message heard. All right, so let's go back to Miss Rosemarie. So tell me how fabulous things are and what do you have going on in your world?
2018 is going to be an extraordinary year. I don't know why, but I have this feeling that all the little bubbles of interest that I've put out into the universe are coalescing into a great big fat bubble. And I am so excited. I just rebranded Confident Stages, my company, to better target my ideal avatar client. And it's working. It's working. I am now, you can't tell because I'm gushing, but I am now the sophisticated executive presentation trainer type. Not that I don't help everyone, but I would love to go into businesses and help them learn to stop losing money and leaving it on the table because of the way they speak.
Yeah.
I'm passionate about it, and this is the year. This is the year.
I know when you were doing all your tips and everything, I mean, we were like, yeah, we're like two little, bees in a pod going, we totally get each other. Because there's so many times that pet peeves comes up when you're like, really, did you just do that from stage in front of people? And I think this is where people get concerned, but it's so easy to remedy, right?
It's simple, but it's not easy.
I like that.
Confidence on stage can be learned. It's not some woo-woo skill that some people are born with and some people aren't. Confidence and charisma and presence do more for any speaker than anything else. But the trick, of course, is that speakers aren't up there to talk about themselves. If they want to do that, write an autobiography or go stand in the mirror. You're your best audience. Your job, the speaker's job, is to touch the audience's top of mind problem, give them some solutions, and give them an action step. Not 15, one. If you're not engaging your audience, you're not being successful. So then it just comes down to the learnable skills of how to best engage that audience on that day. It's very exciting. The other thing that I'm just thrilled to death with is that my second book on confident leadership in 21st century business, bridging the generation gaps, is finding such a resonating audience for it. We're having so many problems and it's so unnecessary. So unnecessary. Communication across multi-level generations is more important than ever before. And so I'm thrilled to say that I've found some bridges for people to start walking across.
I love it. So one of the things that I look back in my own history, right? And when I first started speaking in front of, an actual group that was there to actually learn from me and not just be a part of a networking group or something, I was scary, right? Because I just got, so frowny and just like, I got to get all this information. And you mentioned it, that we would try to put too much information into their heads. And 5 minutes later, they're like, their eyeballs are rolling in the back of the head.
Absolutely right. Absolutely right. If you can't remember your presentation without relying on visual aids, there's another pet peeve, right? A PowerPoint presentation cannot substitute. And if you need to rely on a visual aid presentation to remember what you're going to do, and you've done the work, these are your ideas and your substantiations and all that sort of thing. If you can't remember it, how do you expect an audience to remember it? They can't. And a confused mind does nothing. You fire hose your audience and they become confused. That makes them feel inadequate. Nobody likes being inadequate or confused, and you're the one that made them feel that way. Therefore, they don't like you very much. How is that helping them? Too much value is not value. They don't get anything, and you come out looking less than sterling.
I remember I was at an event one time and I was one of the speakers, and there was a guy that was coming on before me, and his topic sounded really interesting. So I sat down and I was ready to learn from him. And then his first statement, I got up and walked out. And that first statement was, and he had 30 minutes on stage, something like that. I'm going to go over 100 things that you need to know about whatever it was. And I was like, 130 minutes? And I remember he had gotten to about 15, and that's when time was up. And so they were trying to get him off the stage. He's like, I'm on 15. I still have, a whole bunch
85.
And they're like, it's enough. Get off.
I know. And time is never a speaker's friend. Never, never, never. If we have a common enemy, it is good old time. It goes so quickly. And you know what? We waste way too much time at the beginning going, oh, thank you for having me here. It's a pleasure. And then we see even sometimes go into my airplane was late. But I got here anyway. How much time have they just wasted? And here's the question. Does the audience care? Of course you're glad to be here. Of course there's travel difficulties. Of course I feel sorry for you. Is that why I came? Get to the point and quit wasting all that valuable time. So the question then is, how do you grab an audience's attention the second you get out there? Well, it's not to come out and say, hi, nice, thanks for having me. Come on out. Make a bold statement that's going to make them sit up and say what? And then carry on. Or come out and ask them a strong and powerful, engaging question, one that doesn't have a yes or no answer. Ta-da, you've got them. You have to grab your audience by their lovely swan-like throats and keep it. And then don't let it go. It is so much harder to regain attention than just to keep it in the first place. So structure your presentations that way.
I love it. There's so many things that we just totally agree on. It's almost scary.
It is, isn't it? I guess that makes it, dare we say, right? Could
right.
it be? I know.
I always giggle when people, do things just like what you said. They come on and they're spending so much time. I had a lady one time at my conference and her PowerPoint wouldn't start. It wasn't compatible with the computer that they were uploading to. And she sat there. It was only a 30-minute presentation. 15 minutes went by of her trying to get it to work. And finally, we kept saying, go ahead, just, get started, and she's like, oh no, I got to show them this PowerPoint. I got to show. And finally I'm like, and it was like 5 minutes left now by the time she, was getting it. I was like, you got 5 minutes. Well, I haven't even got my PowerPoint. I'm like, you have that time on stage, and people have to understand you only are given a certain amount of time on stage or on a conference or whatever, conference call or whatever it is. People aren't going to wait and have you take up more time from someone else because your thing didn't work. Get going.
There's the truth of it. I teach, when I'm training for presentations, I always teach clients that if you can't do it without a PowerPoint, if you can't, or Tracy or any of those others really wonderful systems, But a speaker has to be prepared to go on in the dark if necessary.
Oh, yeah.
If you can't give a presentation without visual enhancements, it's not much of a presentation, is it? When people say to me, "Can I have your slide deck?" Sure, because if I'm doing a 45-minute keynote, there's not more than 10 images up there, and they're pictures. Within my 10 slides, I will never have more than 40 words total.
Yes, I agree.
My,
Thank you very
my
much.
presentation is not my slides. My presentation is me. And the slides enhance and make it better, but it has to be able to stand on its own. I shall remove myself from that soapbox now.
Exactly. I know. It's so hard. It's so hard. And, there's a lot of little, things that you're like, why do you can see the nervousness. It comes out in just the way people present, right? Even saying, "Oh, I don't need a microphone. My voice is loud enough." I'm like, why would you say that? You always use a microphone. You want to make sure you're clear and people can hear you no matter where they are in the room.
Well, and that's lack of comfort with the microphones.
Yes.
It's not something that you can just pick up and do just because you've seen someone else use one. The experience is very different. So for crying out loud, if you don't have a microphone at home, hold your telephone. Practice moving it with your head and not doing this stuff, right? Microphone use needs practice.
Yes.
How do you get it? You're wearing the over the ear mic, right? How do you get it so that it's comfortable over the ear? And I notice you're not wearing dangly earrings. Yay, you. Those things hit the mic and cover up everything you're saying. None of this can be taken for granted, right? Exactly. All of this needs to be solid so that when you're up there, you know that you got this. You got this. Now, shall we go into the very clever thing about how to dispel your nervousness without wandering in front of the stage like a caged panther?
Yeah,
do you know how that started? The meandering back and forth, like a polar bear in a zoo would do that. And it's because of various and sundry psychological issues, I'm sure. But the point is that the whole thing about wandering started because of excess nervous energy. And so people wandered because this energy had to go somewhere. It has now become the norm. I fay with it. When you go over to one side of the stage to engage the audience over there, your beautifully formed back is all that the other side can see. They are now left feeling neglected and ignored. All right. So then you wander back, and now you try and get them back. In the meantime, what's happening over here? You're losing them. Fill the stage with your presence, your charisma, your words, your very essence, and quit wandering around the stage. If you have nowhere to go, oh, please stand still. But what do you do with that excess energy? Here's what you do with it. First of all, you stop creating it by quit the chest breathing. That tells your body to let the adrenaline go. Let's get it out there. You're nervous. Something is happening. And the adrenaline makes you chest breathe even more. Well, you're not getting a decent amount of air and there's no oxygen to your brain. So the worst that happens. You forget. Because you really do get dumb as a post when you're standing up chest breathing. So for crying out loud, breathe low. The other thing that you do to stop the shaking and the nervousness, and what do I do with it all? Okay, I'll say it fast. Clench your cheeks, but not these ones, please. Those ones, the behind you ones. You see, speaking is a full body experience, yes? Otherwise you're a talking head. What's the point of a talking head? But if you engage your body, the power just comes out like crazy. Tightening your diaphragm and shoulders back and all that whatnot. It's just too much. Remember when you're up there. So one simple thing solves it. You engage your core by tightening the glutes. Just that, nothing else. And all of a sudden you stand straighter, your chest is high, you are open to create marvelous sound, and your message careens, it spirals out over your audience and lands ever so delicately on their little heads instead of nervously, "Ada, ada, ada, ada," and then it doesn't go anywhere. So, to summarize, breathe low, not from your chest, and tighten your cheeks, not the ones in your face. You will come across as confident, everyone will believe you, and you will believe you.
Love it. So
There you go.
everybody, I tell you, she has so much information, and I'm for everything that she says. I'm like, yes, 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 yes. And so one last pet peeve I want to cover, because
Sure.
I know we both will go. So the panel discussion, right?
Yes.
And people are sitting up there. Ladies, do not wear a skirt, especially a short skirt. And then remember that the whole audience is looking at you the whole time. So look interested and engaged instead of falling asleep and stuff.
Or worse, oh, I got an itch. Or yeah, if you're on stage, if you're on the up on the platform, people are watching you. So for crying out loud, don't try and hide. They're going to see you trying to hide, and what does that do for your adequacy level? When you are on stage, ladies, I must tell you, people can see up your skirt when you're standing up there. So short skirts are lovely, and if you have the legs for it, oh, please go for it. But remember that if you're above the level of the audience, that skirt is shorter than what you see. So that's fine. You have to make sure that when you are seated on a panel, that you're not tugging at your clothing. Distraction. Oh my goodness. What's she doing now? And whatever is being said is lost because you're tugging at your skirt. Did you know too that the kind of shoes you wear makes an impression on people?
Yeah.
The shoes, a little heel makes you stand better. Too high, well, I feel sorry for the pain in your back and your feet. And it sends a message. Is it the message you want to send? Make sure of it. Your shoes are you are more accepted as an authority if your shoes are slightly more pointed around. I don't know why, but somehow it's as if you drive your point home better when you have slightly pointed shoes. The other thing that I learned, and I don't know if it's completely true, but some thinkers are adamant that the first time you meet people, you should be wearing bright pink covered up with a black shirt or something over the top. But you need the colors of authority, but the pink, even if you're a man, apparently also tells them that you're left-brained and right-brained, and you can speak to them from wherever they're coming.
Pink.
Not pale, not nude, not skin tone, pink.
Wow.
And for gentlemen, make sure your tie is pink as well, because you don't want to stop the view from coming straight up to your face. Our face is where most of the message comes from. The second time you meet people, apparently, you're supposed to wear that eye-sucking royal blue, because now we're down to business. Whether that's true or not, I'd love to hear your comments. But some people absolutely live it, eat it, and breathe it.
I know. Wow. That makes you think, right? It's
Well,
like all of these little things that, there's people who spend a whole lot more money on figuring out these little details. And I always just take them to heart. It's like using Arial when you're, for your font, when you're trying to sell something. Someone did a huge study on that and spent like millions of dollars. Why wouldn't I say, okay, well, let me just use Arial?
exactly right. But what you wear, everything about you when you're up on a platform is sending the message. Make sure it's the right one. If you're talking about fiscal responsibility, for example, and you're coming up there in a mini skirt, with the shoes that have laces up the legs, and you're not dressed as a stereotypical, physically responsible corporate individual, it's not that it won't work. It's just that it will be harder. Why would you do that to yourself? That is not to say that you can't be yourself, and you do have to be your authentic self. Only that your message is what matters, not you. For the people listening to you, they don't care about your individual style. They only care about, and here it is, with them. What's in it for me? Or how does this affect me? And they don't really care what your style is. They only want to hear you talk to their top of mind problem and tell them how it matters to them. That's where we do stories. That's where we do stories. When you make a point, and then you explain the point, and then you illustrate the point either with a story or, I'm sorry, but yeah, a chart sometimes, or a personal example. Better if it's someone else's example. Try to not be the hero, because that just makes you look like a braggart. But that's where you keep their attention. That's where you tell them what's in it for them. Speakers spend too much time working on every single solid gold word. And then they quit. Their words are fantastic, but speaking isn't about words. Dr. Morabian has been misquoted for years about that only 7% of the message that you're sending comes from your words. Whether it's 7% or 15%, it doesn't matter. The point is that the words are the least effective way to share your message. And that's where speakers quit. They create their words and then they go up there and believe that's enough. And it's not. It's so not. If you want to help the people in the audience, you have to reach them, whether they are audio learners, whether they are visual learners, whether they are tactile learners. Your job is to help them, not yourself.
Yep. Perfect.
So therefore, how do you dress? How do you move? How do you speak? Which kind of voice do you use for those audiences on that day?
Love it. All right, so we're going to definitely have to have you come back on the show because we got so much more to cover. But for right now, what do you have that you would love to offer the incredible listeners today?
I would love, love, love to give you, it's called, with you, Tonya, we did the 6 top presentation tips. I actually have a series of 15 of them, and I would love to just hand them out. Please just get in touch with me at www.confidentstages.com, and I will happily send that to you. There are 15 of them that pretty much cover the gamut of the things you have to think about. Once you learn them, though, you can stop thinking about it and it will become natural for you. And then you can concentrate on getting your message heard. So if you would like to get a copy of that, please just get in touch.
Awesome. So please get in touch with her immediately because she's obviously someone that you need to know. And then if you're looking for someone for your shows or maybe your corporate trainings or an event that you have, please reach out to her so that you can get connected and have her come and do that. So thank you so much. I can't wait for you to come back on the show again.
My pleasure. Thank you, Tonya. It's always a delight.
Yay. All righty, everybody. We will see you next time where there's another fabulous guest star waiting to give you some amazing information. Bye. Bye, everyone.